I'm gonna have the best natural delivery ever. And actually, I never got to experience any of it. You know what? You're gonna have your baby right now. I basically saw a doctor coming towards me with the knife. Everyone in the room was crying with me. This is not what I imagined. Really don't think I can imagine worse pain.
Welcome to It Mom, a podcast where it is all about you. And I'm your host, Paulina Perry, today with Kristina, a mother of three who's going to share a very heartfelt story that I can't wait for you to hear. First of all, thank you for coming.
Of course, it's my pleasure.
I think you have a very unique and special story to share, and I'm really excited for the world to hear it. But I want to begin with kind of the expectation of motherhood and how you envisioned motherhood for yourself before you had children, and why you envisioned it a certain way.
You know, I think for me, what was very important is actually to see it from my family. So my mom gave me a great example of being a great mom. She was not working, she was with us all the time. My father was the one working. So she was with us all the time, doing all the activities. So I said, I want to be like her. I want to be like my mom. Of course, the expectations were changing. You know, I have a lot of my friends and I saw how they were dealing with the motherhood. But then, you know, you're coming with expectations of everything being so perfect in the motherhood. But then, in my case, something like traumatic happened. So for me, everything what come after was something I was not prepared for. It essentially changed the expectations that I had. So it was not the same.
So tell me more about that kind of turning point and what has changed your expectation and how it actually played out for you, and what happened.
So I got married. I was happily married. I was having our first baby. I was pregnant, and you know the excitement of being a first-time mom. You really think everything is going to go great. You really take all the moments really for granted, that I can now look back into seeing, you know, I never really thought anything could go wrong. I think at some point it was very good because I never thought anything could go wrong and I was very happy living the moments. But then, you know, I had a very great pregnancy. I had no problems. I went until I was 38 weeks pregnant. And then one day I was telling my husband, you know what, I just don't feel my baby well. We knew it was a baby boy. We named him Maxim. And, you know, I just don't feel Maxim well. Like, I don't know what is wrong. Let's just check. Let's just go to the hospital. He said, you know what? Let's just go. At that point, I was like, maybe he's big enough. There's not enough space for him. And, you know, I never really thought anything really could go wrong. So we went to the hospital and they actually checked me in and they started, you know, saying what could be happening, what is wrong. And they realized that there is not much of a heartbeat, so his heartbeat was dropping, and basically it was just a big chaos in the hospital, in the ER, and they were calling all the doctors, all the codes were on, and my husband didn't know what's happening. Because they were not specific if it's me or him or what is really happening. They knew they always kind of keep you being not that worried. So they didn't really tell me what is happening. They just told me, you know what, you're going to have your baby right now. And they just took me. They took me to ER room, and of course, even still, when I go back and I think about the moments, I never really thought anything could go wrong. Still up to that moment, you know, I was thinking, you know what, they're just going to take him out and he's fine. So that was kind of like my approach to throughout the whole pregnancy, that really nothing could go wrong, which is very good, you know, to set up your mind to have positive thoughts always, right?
So up to that moment, you didn't expect anything to go wrong, but like when you went to your OB or midwife or whoever was monitoring your pregnancy, did they ever tell you about all the things that could happen? I know that they try to like downplay it to make sure that we all have positive experience, but like, did you know that things could happen, like emergency C-section? Have they educated you on some possible case scenarios?
Well, we went for like a course with my husband before, and they actually walk us through possible options. You can have a natural labor, a natural delivery, you can have a C-section. There was really like a small talk about emergency C-section. So for me, all the time, so that was one of the expectations that I had, that I'm gonna have the best natural delivery ever. You know, it was kind of like how I always visualized my delivery, and I really wanted to feel the baby coming out, and I was just excited about this moment. And actually, I never got to experience any of it. The doctors never really mentioned anything could go wrong, like, because my pregnancy was so good. That was very healthy. There was not really a moment to say like, oh, something, is off. Just be ready in case something like this happens.
So you're in the ER. You're obviously thinking, okay, I'm just gonna have this baby. He's 38 weeks old, so he's perfectly healthy to come out at that age, or should I say gestational age. So when did you realize that something is going wrong?
Okay, so when I woke up, because I was completely down for the C-section, they had to basically, I got to the ER, to the operating room, I know the time, like 8:35. And he was born 8:38. So in like 3 minutes, they had to put me down, and I basically saw a doctor coming towards me with the knife.
Oh God! And with a scalpel, and then you were out.
And then I passed out.
Okay.
So that was kind of the thing that I don't know what was happening after, right? And I woke up, I think 35 or 40 minutes after, and my first was like, "Where's my baby?" That was the first thought, like, where's my baby? I asked the nurse, and she was like, don't worry, your baby. I don't really remember what she was saying, but she kind of like, how do you feel? She tried to be there for me.
Shift the focus on you.
Shift the focus on, like, towards me. And then I said, I want to see my baby. I want to see my baby. I was getting very anxious because Oscar, my husband, was not there with me yet. Then they called him in, so he was coming with me, and I believe they were talking within each other that, hey, she wants to see her baby. So the reality would come that she wants to see the baby, but then they were like, okay, we're gonna take you to your baby. And basically, because I was still on the bed, I was after C-section, I couldn't really move, right? So they were like, okay, you're gonna see your baby now, but they're working on him. So they said, like, they're working on him. So for me, it was like, okay, he needs an extra support.
But he's healthy and alive.
He's healthy, because they didn't really mention anything to me much. They didn't want to share details with me.
Yeah.
Then my husband came with me, and they put me in another room where I saw him, and he was basically on the bed, absolutely with no signs of life. Like he was on all these, like, I don't know how you call them, cables?
Yeah.
He was on all the life support machines, and they were working on him all the time. There were, like, I would say, I think 7 people in the room, or maybe even more. And then when I saw him, of course, I started crying. I was like, this is not what I imagined to see how I even imagined to see my baby, right?
And still to that point, they haven't told you what happened and what they were working on. No. So they kept you in the dark up until you saw your child.
What they told me when I woke up, I forgot this part. They told me you had a clot in your umbilical cord. You had a clot in your umbilical cord, which at that moment I didn't. You
didn't understand what that means.
I didn't understand what does this mean, and what does it mean to my baby. I just wanted to see him, right? So they just told me this, and they just said, "Okay, you're gonna see your baby."
Oh God!
So I saw him, and then I came to the room, and of course I was crying, and everyone in the room was crying with me. Like, now when I look back, and when I was talking to Oscar the other day, I was like, there was not even a person who would not have tears in their eyes, because they were like, they kind of saw me, and they saw the desperation, and they already knew that there is basically no help for him.
So when did you realize that he's not gonna?
So they told me, so they told me, your baby is very sick. Your baby's lungs are not working well. Your baby's heart is not working well, and we're trying to see what we can do. They kind of really I really appreciate all the staff members at the hospital because they let me soak in the moment with him as much as I wanted to. You know, like I was after C-section, like I was distressed, like I was very bad, and they still let me be there. I think it was even 1-2 hours to be with him. They were working on him, and I was just there. Like I have many pictures of this moment because actually the nurses and the doctors were like, "Do you want to take pictures? Like, do you want to take photos?" You know, so yeah.
That's tough.
This was kind of like for me when I go back and when I see, and in my mind sometimes I go back to these moments that feel painful, very painful for me still, but it was the moment where I saw him first, and the moments I still want to remember.
And right? He's your first.
Yeah, it's my first child, and I always want to cherish these moments. They were the most painful, you know, and I don't like personally. I really don't think I can imagine worse pain.
I hear you. I can only imagine. That's what I can say here. But I also think that it's so important for women to share about loss, because in our modern society, women don't, because there's so much pain, so much emotion, and there's certain controversy around the topic that from my personal experience talking to different women, I know that loss is quite common, whether it's, right at the beginning of pregnancy or later, or in your case when you already have your baby. And I think that a story like yours can really help other women to work with their grief and their loss, because in the end, like, I know you as a mother of 3, and I met 2 of your kids who are absolutely fantastic, and you're such a wonderful mother. So I want to talk a little bit more about how that loss affected you postpartum and how it shaped you into the mother you are today, because I've seen you in action and you're absolutely incredible. And I think you're like one of the bravest, strongest women I know, even though we're not that close, but I just got to give it to you.
Yeah. I think after the loss, I was desperate. I was thinking I can never find happiness again. So this was something that really was stuck with me. How can I be happy after this moment? You know, and of course, all of my my cousins, my very close friends, we were all pregnant at the same time. So they all kept having their babies, and they were healthy babies, they were happy mothers, and I was the one who didn't have her baby. So for me, these moments of like after the delivery, and I would say first 3, 4, 5 months were very tough for me. And during this time, I really felt I needed to grieve. I really needed to I kind of like for 1 month or 2 months, I just didn't want to meet with anybody. I was just meeting with my close friends. But what really helped me was talking about him. So this was one of the things that really kind of liberated me. Like I felt I need to share how he was. I really needed to share what did I go through? How did he look like? So whenever I had people and very close people coming over to just be with me, I just felt the need to show them that, you know, this was him, this is my son. And even though he's not here with me, he's just so present in my life. Like I want everybody to know about him, you know? So I think this helped me a lot to go through even after, right? So after I got back from the hospital and, you know, all those moments after, I felt like I need to grieve him, but I want to have another baby. Like I had this need that I want to have another baby and I want to keep going.
You had this love in you.
I had this love that I wanted to. And my husband is like, I think we need to wait. So he was the one more like, I think we need to just be like this for now, live through it. And once you feel more ready emotionally, then we do it.
How long did it take you? Obviously, you will never get rid of that grief. and I shouldn't even say get rid of, but like fully, it will always be with you. It will always be part of you. But how long was it until you started to feel more like yourself?
I think it was after, I would say, a year. And then exactly after a year, I got pregnant.
Okay.
So it really was like after the year, he was born in April, and I really got pregnant in April next year.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So it was really a year that for me, and you know, the mark 1 year and his birthday, first birthday, was for me like very emotional because he would have been 1.
Yeah.
Right? And I got pregnant.
So that was the gift.
That was, yeah, it was the gift, and I really wanted to be pregnant. And I think from that moment, I started to feel like I'm more myself. I kind of see the light at the end of the tunnel, right?
Yeah.
I kind of see that light that I'm growing another baby. Of course, the fear throughout my whole pregnancy was like up to the ceiling.
Immense. I can only imagine.
Yeah, so
I want to roll back a little bit to those months post the event and how you felt and what helped you. So you already mentioned that talking about him in the first few weeks, but throughout those 12 months, what were some of the things that you've discovered were helping you? Because I know that there's not a lot out there about loss or how to manage loss. There's certainly therapy that you can lean on to, but not a lot of therapists have been through the same experience or necessarily similar experience, so sometimes it's hard to connect, I would imagine. So what were your kind of strategies to find yourself again, and beyond talking about your son and making sure that he's still in your memory and you honor him?
So for me, for sure, kind of, I was trying to look for answers, right? Like, why this happened? Is there anything wrong with me? I was trying to look for answers, and here, really, I didn't get the answer that I get from the doctor. It happens 1 in 10,000. So basically, there were no really answers to what happened to me. So I started looking up, I was trying to search. I had all these medical reports from the hospital, and I just kind of dived in, and I found a doctor in LA that I contacted, and I kind of described what happened to me, and he told me, you know, it's very interesting, but I have this lady from Toronto who has had a similar case than you, and it was just not that recent. You are basically 3 months in terms of the delivery of the babies. Like apart. And I may reach out to her if she feels comfy sharing her number with you.
Oh,
so you can
kind.
connect with her.
That's very kind.
So I was like, yes, I need someone, because in my surroundings, in the people that I met and I knew, there was no one who ever experienced anything like me.
Yeah.
So I didn't know who to talk to. I had all my friends, but nobody really could understand my feelings, right? Even if I wanted to just go on and talk about him, and like, nobody could really relate to my pain and to what I was going through.
Yeah, and it's uncomfortable. Like,
and it was
I would
uncomfortable
imagine.
for them as well to ask me things. If I didn't start talking about it, nobody would ask me. And sometimes I was telling my husband, I remember how these people can pretend that nothing happened to me. How they can just have conversation with me without asking me questions
about this.
You know?
And you know, this is so brilliant that you're saying this, because I think that's what we don't realize, that when you go for such a traumatic experience, it's part of your experience, and just because people are afraid to hurt, right?
I know.
And it's very, in moments like this of like immense loss or grief or trauma, it's really hard to hold space for somebody. Like, I find it personally that sometimes, you know, when I talk to people that are going through things, I really need to be very present with them in order to hold that space for them and be like in the moment with them and ask them the questions. People don't share things like that, so we don't know how to hold space, how to grieve with the person, because you can't really help. People are wired to solve, right? Like, oh, like, well, let's find support group, let's find therapy, I'll make you food, but sometimes all you need is just a good listener who can just be there for you and with you. And the with you part is where you need somebody who can relate to what you experienced, which would be really hard because you had such a unique case. So did you end up meeting with that woman?
Yeah, so I contacted her, and we actually talked, and up until now. So it's already almost 7-8 years. We still follow each other on social media. She has 2 babies after, same as me. But throughout, like in the first 2-3 months after our losses, we talked every day. We shared our WhatsApp and we were talking every day. And what she was going through, I was going through as well. We were like identical. Our thoughts, our fears, everything we were going through at that moment, it was almost like we were like the same person.
Wow.
So this was kind of my therapy. Talk to someone who experienced the same loss than you, similar loss than you.
Yeah.
You know, that you could relate to that pain that she was going through. She could relate to my pain. She could listen to me.
Have you ever met in person?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we met one time. We went for like lunch together, and it was beautiful. We cried together. We shared our, you know, we were in this moment like, can we be happy again? And she was also brave enough to have a baby after she got pregnant, even like in a shorter time than me.
Yeah.
So then she was sharing with me how she was handling the pregnancy after a loss, right? So this really helped me. Although I went for a couple of therapists, I went for like 3 or 4 consultations with different therapists, but I could not click with any of them.
Because they couldn't share your experience.
They couldn't relate to the pain. They were not. I just didn't feel they would understand me.
Yeah.
You know, that's why I feel to find someone who was going through something very similar was so meaningful for me and was so important for me at that moment. So this really was helping me to go through this, I would say, first year that was the most difficult for me.
To have that support.
Yeah.
And how did that affect your relationship? Because I would imagine it was a huge stress for your husband and a big loss for him as well.
So,
but men don't express as much.
No. And I still feel up until this moment, he grieves, but in his own way.
Yeah.
He was there for me 100%. That was the thing. He was there for me 100%. He was all the time present. He was there for me. We talked about him all the time. We made Maxim very present in our life. But he is not that kind of person that would talk about his emotions to his friends like I did.
So he kept it all in, and he was
kept
there
it
for
all
you.
in. He is not that kind of person that would share it. So as much as we could share the thoughts with each other, he didn't go to a therapist. He dealt with it in his own way, right? So it was very. The relationship has changed.
Yeah.
Even after you have kids, the relationship with your husband changes, right? But this has a very big impact on our relationship. We started to appreciate the little tiny things more. And I think it has shaped us to be better.
Do you think it brought you closer together?
I feel so. Yeah, I feel we got closer to each other, and we more talk about it, and we more he's not sharing, like he doesn't share much, but I want him to share much. I'm more like, so how do you feel?
Yeah, no.
So what is going on in your mind? So if I share this with you,
you gotta share back.
Why you don't share your thoughts with me?
No, but that's how men are.
Yeah, and but I felt like this is kind of a therapy for you. You have to do it.
Yeah.
You know, so I was like this with him. And then every time I would talk about him with other friends, he would also say something. You know, but I feel he really helped me to go through it. If it was not him, it would be very difficult for me to deal with the situation. If he was not as big of a support as he was at that point. What really helped me was traveling. So I really traveled with him during this time. It was after the first year. It was after actually 3-4 months that I traveled with him. We went to Latin America for 2 months. So we traveled. So I kind of disconnected from the place where it all happened, right? All the memories and everything. And I think a very big role, what helped me the most, was baking. Because I love to bake. I had this passion from my childhood, from my grandma. I always saw her baking, and she did it with so much love, and I always wanted to bake, and I baked for my family. And I said, you know what, I'm gonna bake. So we went to Argentina, and they have their typical desserts. They're called alfajores. there's like a caramel, like dulce de leche in the middle. And I love this dessert. And I was walking and I saw this bakery, a little tiny bakery, and I walked inside and I said, you know what, do you do like baking classes? And the lady was speaking English. And she told me, you know what, I can do baking class for you, like a private class for you if you want to learn how to bake these alfajores.
Oh, it's amazing.
And I said, you know what, this is a sign for me that I need to bake. So I went, I took the classes, and I started to bake alfajores because it's very, and then later on when I was reading a lot of books, it's very, very therapeutical.
Therapeutical.
When you do things with your hands.
It's form of meditation.
It's for meditation, yeah. But I learned this just by doing it. I didn't see, like I didn't, did any research on this, right? It just naturally helped me. So I started baking, and I still bake today, and people love my desserts.
I yet to try your dessert. I really want to try because I've seen some pictures and I'm like, ooh, I need to get one. Well, that's amazing, and that's another thing that is not often spoken of, right? People talk about therapy, spirituality, meditation, but a lot of times coming up with a hobby or something physical that can put you in the moment.
Exactly, like my mind was there. My mind is there.
It's very
focusing
helpful.
on the desserts. Yeah. And journaling. I was writing my journal. Like I actually, before coming here yesterday, I was going through it. So it was from 2018, from April, and I was doing kind of like every other day. I was putting down my thoughts. Up until like September. So really for like a couple of months after the loss, I was putting down all my thoughts. And I was just looking at it back in 2018 and looking at me right now in 2025. I kind of like, wow, I did it. Like I was so desperate in those moments.
Yeah.
And now I gain my happiness again, that I thought I could never have again.
So when did that switch turn where you felt I can be happy again? Is that when you had your second pregnancy?
Yeah. I think after my second son, Matteo, was born.
Okay.
So it was 1.5 years after. But I felt this happiness, was like I'm living again, like I'm reborn again, right?
I've got that healthy baby.
I've got that, and if you ask me, what was your most beautiful moment, like in this time of having him, was number one, hearing him cry. When he was born, I was just waiting for this moment to hear my baby cry because I never heard Maxi, my first son, crying. And I knew that it's a sign that your baby's good. He's born. And the second moment was when I was leaving the hospital with like him in the car seat.
Yeah.
It was like two happiest moments.
Oh. Whew.
I know.
So I'm curious to know more about how did that second pregnancy go? Because I would imagine after a loss, well, first of all, like, I want to honor and celebrate you for trying. I know that sometimes loss can be quite traumatic and women choose not to have kids, especially if it's a reoccurring loss. And I've personally met women like that. And you've chosen to try again, which was a success, but I would imagine it was a very challenging road ahead because when you have a loss, it brings a lot of anxiety. So how did it feel for you, those 9 months with Matteo? And
I feel it was way more, like I would expect I would be more stressed, but I was not. I was, because I also had an amazing support from the hospital. They basically told me, you can have as many checks as you want. So if you feel like something is off, you just come in. So I would have the last, I think from week 25 up until 37 weeks, 38 weeks, I would have every other week, I would have ultrasounds and I would see him. So these were like reassuring enough for me to say he's fine.
yeah,
If there was anything that could be going wrong, I would know. Right? So I really felt like this is helping me a lot, and I was baking, I was kind of like focusing on that. I was getting ready to have a baby. there is one thing that I didn't do. I didn't do baby shower. That I did with my first baby.
Yeah.
So this was kind of a moment for me where I was not attending baby showers for a couple of years after.
I can imagine.
I was not, and all my friends, you know, they were okay with that. They were, you know, they understood me 100%, and I was all the time making clear I was sending my gift, but I was never attending baby showers. And also I was not buying any clothes very much ahead. I was just keeping it, and all the clothes after Maxim I packed, and I didn't donate them. Matteo had the same clothes that I had for Maxim.
So you kept it. So
I kept it all. I kept absolutely everything, because it's his brother.
Yeah.
You know, and he just has clothes after his brother.
Yeah.
So that's the feeling that I had. Like, why? He had the same stroller, he had the same car seats, he had absolutely the crib. Everything was ready for him.
Yeah.
You know, so I never even had a thought, I have to get rid of these clothes.
Yeah.
They brought me, a lot of like tears. But it's again back to my happy moments that, you know, he has them now.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the pregnancy with him was, going back to pregnancy, it was stressful, but I felt like I can do this. You know.
That's beautiful. And I mean, it's so important again to share the story with a happy ending, where you did get to have your baby in the end. And
so if you ask me, oh, were there any like struggles, you know, in postpartum, or like how did you find yourself after? I swear I don't even remember a moment where I would really complain about after being in a newborn stage, or breastfeeding struggles, or not sleeping, because I absolutely enjoy everything.
because you were so happy.
Because I was so happy,
baby.
right? So, and I was all the time saying, all these moms, they complain, but they have the biggest gift. They have a healthy baby. But of course, learning after, motherhood is not easy.
No.
Right? Like, everybody faces different challenges, and you know, but for me, because I was taking it from like way from the other side.
Yeah, it brought so much appreciation.
I brought so much, even for not sleeping at night, I was like, it's okay, he's just crying, and I don't sleep, I'm gonna sleep later on in the afternoon.
Yeah.
You know, everything was just perfect with him.
So this is perfect segue into my next question, and that's how that shaped you as a mother, and your, as you mentioned already, appreciation for the whole experience, and how that changed you.
You know, in the beginning I mentioned that I always wanted to be a mom. So I always saw myself as being a mom, and I never really saw it as you know, losing myself. Like, I'm not gonna have enough time for myself. I still kind of find time for myself. I still would do my nails, my pedicure, manicure. I would still, you know, go for coffees with my friends. So I really don't feel it changed me in a way that I tell you that, oh, you know, I didn't have time for myself. But it's me, right? It's from the experience that I had, that I really appreciate everything that I you know, experienced.
And do you think, like, up to this day, you still feel that appreciation for all the moments with your kids?
I do, but it's also, me and my husband, we are very much on the same line, and we all the time said, you know, your baby is not your boss. We are the ones who need to create whatever we like. We keep doing.
Yeah.
So whenever we were going to the restaurant, whenever we were doing things that we used to do when we were just me and him, now we just did it with, you know, with another human being with us. So this is something that I all the time recommend you moms. Don't allow your tiny little baby be the boss of you.
You're the center of the family.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like, you need to find, and we still travel with them. We still do a lot of things with them because we like to do things from before, right? So this is the whole point, like how we function as a family, right?
And that's very interesting, because one would always think, if you have a loss you might be a lot more anxious about like the health of your baby, maybe a lot more controlling. I mean, from my personal experience, I've experienced the loss with my first baby at a very early stage. So it wasn't quite like your experience at all, but still was quite traumatic for me because it was a first pregnancy. But I remember going into my second pregnancy with my daughter, Sophie. I was very anxious. I'm naturally an anxious person, but that was intensified by the experience. And I remember when she was born, I was really scared of something happening to her. And I don't know whether that was linked to the loss or it was just a regular mother's instinct. Now that I talk to a lot of mothers, they kind of say that they do the same, whether they experience the loss
I did the
or
same.
not. But I would like listen whether she's breathing and like.
Oh yeah.
With my second, I was a lot more laid back. I was like, oh, he's fine. My boy is like.
It's the same.
Yeah, but like with Sophie, I was really, I don't know, I was like really paranoid for a while. And with the pregnancy, also, I didn't tell my partner, I didn't tell my husband for like 10 weeks until I started to feel sick and like I had morning sickness. He's like, "What's going on with you?" Because I would eat because I love eating, and I'd like pick at my food, and he's like, "What's happening? What's wrong?" And then I had to tell him, but I was afraid to tell him. And funnily enough, what you mentioned about finding somebody who went through the same experience, I kind of immersed myself in this like chat group. So I had this app that tracks your pregnancy, and they had different groups on the app that you could chat with mothers. And so like I chatted with mothers who had a miscarriage before their pregnancy and kind of wanted to share like how my pregnancy is going and see what they're going through. And that really helped, but I was like immersed in that. So I remember like I would lay in bed with my chat and not tell my husband I'm pregnant because I knew, but I wouldn't. And he's like, "What is going on? What are you doing? You're weird." And then when I told him, he was like, "Okay, well, I get it now." So because I was afraid that it might not work out.
Of course.
But it did. So
Amazing.
yeah. It takes courage to keep trying, and I think it's very rewarding in the end because not only you have a beautiful family, but you also have this unique appreciation for motherhood and your kids.
Yeah, what really helped us was as a family, and now Matteo is almost 6, Ella is turning 4 tomorrow.
Oh, yeah.
We mention Maxim all the time. So he's all the time present in our family. Right, so we celebrate his birthdays. Always April 12th, we make cakes for him. So we always make him be present in our life, and that's also very much that gives me this feeling that he is there with us. I don't know how other families deal with. If I know some moms that they really celebrate birthdays of their babies inside them, like they say he would have been one, and they kind of they do it all within themselves. They don't share the how would I say, they don't make the babies like a part of the families.
Yeah, they don't honor their.
They don't honor, but it's the way that works for them, right? This what we do in our family is what makes me happy, makes my husband happy, and I want my son to be celebrated, to be present. Matteo is drawing.
I saw he draw a little.
We were on the beach and he had this like a tablet. He was kind of drawing, and he draw Mama, Papa, Maxim, Matteo, Ella.
Oh, that's beautiful.
So it means he's 5, and he knows he has an older brother.
Yeah.
And he also mentions this in a school and say, "Yeah, I have a brother." And then the teacher's like, "You have a brother?" But then they ask me, right? Because they never saw a brother.
Yeah.
And I said, "Yeah, his brother is in heaven." And they're like, "Oh, because he really talks about him."
Yeah.
It's not that I talk about him every day.
But he just he understands.
But he just knows that he's a part of the family, that he has an older brother. And that's what makes me feel like I'm happy. I'm happy about it. This is what I wanted, right? It makes me feel he's present. He's all the time present with us.
So how do you explain it to your children?
This is kind of, I'm still finding a way. It's not that easy still. Because now Matteo in this age, he's asking me, "Mommy, and where is he? Is he in the sky? But why? why did it happen? Why? Was he sick? How sick was he? Why did he die? So he's giving me all these questions that it's still very hard for me to find like a right answer that he would understand. He's still small.
Yeah.
But kind of it gives me a good way to explain people are being born, people are dying. It's just a natural cycle of life. Of course, it's just not in an order that should be, right? But it kind of like gives me a good point to start talking about, to kind of involve him in this like it's a life situation, life moment that he will go through, right? So he asks me questions, and sometimes I just say, he's always present with you. You don't feel him, but he's always here. He's protecting you. He all the time sees you. You know?
Because he's the older brother.
He's the older brother.
So with all that we've discussed today, how do you think this whole experience shaped you, not just as a mother, but also as a woman?
I'm stronger. I can face situations without thinking it can be bad. Like I'm trying to be positive. I all the time think something really bad happened to me, and it's not going to happen again.
I love that. So your cup is full.
Of course, but it takes. I'm also very anxious about health of myself. I'm anxious about anybody around me getting sick. So I have this that I'm trying to work on. But I feel stronger. And sometimes we naturally complain. We are not happy with things. Us humans, we're just by nature like this. But I try to complain less. I try to appreciate the moments. I like to feel the moments, So that's, if I look back at Kristina 20 years ago, I would say I'm stronger now. It really made me stronger.
What would you tell that Kristina when she just envisioned herself to be a mother? She just got pregnant with her first child. Knowing what you know now, what would you tell her to prepare her?
I was like always going with the flow. So that was me, right? Like I got pregnant, I have a baby. Of course, now I look back and I would say, hold on, don't take anything for granted. Go slowly and start earlier to be a mother.
Oh, really?
I would.
When did you start?
Well, I got pregnant when I was 30.
Okay.
Almost 31.
Yeah.
Because I feel I could do way more in terms of like being more full of energy, and I could just do more. And I love to see young moms.
Yeah. But you might have not had the wisdom.
Of course.
Because I think that's kind of the trade-off.
It's true. You may have one, you may not have the other one, right?
Yeah. You have the physical strength and capacity to take care of a baby because you're younger. The sleepless nights don't affect you as much. You're not as like groggy in the morning.
I know.
But at the same time, you might not be as present for the experience because I think the younger we are, the more self-centered we are, right? Like it's all about us in our 20s and maybe even early 30s. And then it kind of transitions into the we era where it's all about me and, my family, my kids, my friends, my community. And that's the beautiful thing about it. Like when I sometimes also say, well, if I had kids earlier, they would have been teenagers.
Yeah, but
now.
Exactly. But it happened at the right time for me.
Yeah.
Right? Like it just happened in the right time.
Would you tell yourself, or maybe, even in general, give advice to other women that are presently pregnant, expecting, or just want to create a family? What would you tell them to prepare them for whatever can happen? Because obviously you had this vision of a perfect delivery, you had a healthy pregnancy, you didn't think anything bad could happen to you, and you felt unprepared for what came. So what would be your advice if you had to look back and kind of give her some words of wisdom?
I would always encourage everyone to live the moment, to be happy in the moment, to enjoy, your pregnancy, to have plans for the delivery, to visualize your perfect delivery. We all do this, but don't be so focused that that's the only way how I want things to be.
Yeah.
Because, I all the time, I listen to many of my friends and they know my story, but they still want natural delivery so much because C-section is something they don't want. But listen, if the C-section will mean that you're going to have a healthy baby with you, it's great.
Yeah.
That's perfect. So for me, this was the feeling all the time when I tell someone who's pregnant, like, don't be so focused on your plan, how you want things to be.
Yeah.
The most important thing is for you and your baby to be healthy and to hold your baby in your arms at the end, Either way, if it's natural delivery or C-section, it's fine. Yeah. But there are so many women focused on natural delivery.
Well, it's also, I think it's very kind of common now, and I would say even trendy to some extent, because when I was pregnant, I watched a lot of videos on YouTube. I read a lot of books, but mostly trying to kind of grasp experiences of others. I watched a lot of bloggers share their pregnancy and even like labor and delivery experiences. So I watched like live births on YouTube, which was very helpful because it kind of prepares you for the experience. Because we don't really know, like in movies, her water breaks and then in 30 minutes she has a baby. It doesn't happen like that. Never. Like whoever writes those scripts are not mothers and never delivered a baby, because that's just BS. I'm sorry, but I thought that it was so kind of trendy to be like, natural delivery, the water delivery, which I think is beautiful and 100% natural. And if you can, you absolutely should. And if you want, you should strive for that. I was also planning to have a natural delivery, which I pretty much ended up having because the epidural didn't work. I came to the hospital too late, but it was a train wreck. I wasn't present for my first delivery. So second time around, I was like, give me drugs as soon as I got to the hospital. But
so you enjoyed more. You enjoyed more.
I was present. I felt my baby. It was actually a lot more magical than the first time, because the first time I was in a state of like passing out, because it was it was quite painful. But my point is that we have this perfect picture of how things should play out, and we try to focus on that, which I think is great, because you want to be positive and you want to be hopeful, but you gotta stay prepared for what could happen. And I think our healthcare system, in a way, sometimes lacks that advice and giving you clear expectations of what could be, without scaring you, but preparing you, and making sure that you're not just, because women see experiences that are put out there, and they're positive experiences, same as pictures that we see on Instagram. They're all polished, they're all beautiful, everybody's smiling. We don't really see behind the scenes into stories like yours. Not a lot of people share. It's not that common. So people think, well, everybody's having this beautiful natural delivery and like these healthy babies and these perfect pregnancies and all of that. Because the grief, the loss, the challenges are not put out there. So I think the main message of like our conversation is you got to be prepared for anything and everything.
Yeah, and don't limit yourself, right? Like that's important. Don't focus too much on things that it's sometimes completely out of your control, right? Like as much as I planned, I had my birth plan. I still saw it the other day in my computer. because they told us, oh, you can write your birth plan and then you can present it to the nurse when they admit you to the hospital. If you want to have dim lights, if you want to have curtains down, all of these things. This just didn't matter at the end for me, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, of course, we're so excited to have all of this. It's just the perfect scenario.
Yeah.
But if it doesn't go that way, it's gonna go another way, and it's gonna be beautiful. You're gonna have your baby, and that's the most important.
Yeah, as long as you have your baby, that's your unique experience. Yeah, I'm very sometimes angry with all this perfection out there, and I'm myself sometimes portraying the best parts of my life because that's what we do. Like we don't want to take a picture of us at 6 o'clock in the morning when you haven't showered, you haven't brushed your hair, your kids are screaming. Who wants to see that? That's just stressful. So you put yourself out there, hours later when you look good. And everybody thinks you woke up like that. No, you didn't. So, yeah. In terms of loss and grief and how you continue your son's presence in your life, do you think it will ever change or evolve? Like, how has it evolved over time from these first years to now? Because it's been 7 years since
7 years.
7 years.
It's pretty much, I feel I want to keep it this way. Like, I don't think it will change from the moment we started, celebrating his life. The first year we celebrated just alone, me and my husband, and then the second, third, fourth, fifth year we celebrated with our kids. So I don't feel it's going to change.
How do you celebrate it?
We bake the cake. Now Matteo really likes to help me with baking. So, Mommy, let's make a cake. So we do cake together. He's like, I ask him, what do you think, Maxim? Which color do you think Maxim would like? I said, Mommy, I think blue. So we just do the blue cake. He knows how old he would have been. So we light up, 7 candles. And we sing happy birthday. I think even last year we did the balloon. We let the balloon go up. So, we do different things, but I just like to celebrate it, And I like to remind him all the time. So I don't think this will change. I really want this to continue being a part of our family tradition. And there's one thing that I would say I still haven't done is to put up his picture in our rooms. We have a lot of family photos, but because I have beautiful pictures with Maxim, but for some reason, it's still kind of, even though I speak about him all the time, I talk about him all the time, I talk to my kids about him. Everybody knows he is part of my life. I don't know if I feel ready to put the picture and put it in a frame and put it on the wall.
Yeah.
Which is interesting, which sometimes I wonder why.
Because it takes time.
It takes time. This little tiny thing we all have. And I feel it's going to happen. Maybe one day Matteo is going to ask me, Mommy, let's put up a picture of Maxim. I don't know.
So we talked a little bit behind the scenes that, you're going through this transition in life. I've been telling a lot of my girlfriends that it's this transformational year, 2025. Everything has to happen for everyone. And you mentioned that you have this urge and almost the calling to help other women with their grief and loss. Tell me more about that. So, as you mentioned, this year I've been kind of focusing more on myself. So I started therapy, and I found this amazing therapist, and I talked to him and I shared a lot about my life. And he told me, hey, Kristina, you have such a unique story to tell. He's like, I'm not giving you an idea to maybe, counsel but I'm just encouraging you that the way you talk about your son and the way you're overcoming grief and you're overcoming whatever happened and you're living with the grief, this may help other women.
So I really feel this is something that was very crucial in my healing journey, was to talk to someone who experienced something like this. I know how healing this was for me. So this is something I would like to continue doing, right? I would like to help other women who are going through similar loss, to kind of guide them, what helped me.
Yeah.
What really brought this light at the end of the tunnel for me. And just to talk about it, just to share what happened. This feels great. This feels healing. It felt healing for me.
And to listen, I would imagine other women sharing stories with you would make you feel kind of part of that community in a way.
Yeah.
Because these experiences, they bring people together.
And you know, I was checking and on social media, there are not many women who want to share this experience openly. You know, so maybe if there is someone like me, you know, they would feel like, I want to talk to her. I want to share how I feel. Maybe she was feeling the same.
Well, I'll make sure to share your contact details.
For sure.
So women can reach out if they are experiencing or have experienced anything like that. You know, there's a very cool quote that I heard yesterday, actually, and I thought it was so powerful. And it said that we trade trauma for wisdom. And I think it's very fitting as kind of a closing quote for this episode. I want to thank you for being so vulnerable and honest and sharing your experience. It's not an easy thing to talk about. And I could see how you were like holding it in, but it brought tears into your eyes several times. So I'm very grateful. And I'm very excited to share this with other women and hopefully help some of them who may be experiencing similar loss or grief.
Well, thank you, Paulina, for having me and for allowing me to share this.
Of course.